Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Late Night Learning. I am your host, Dr. Anthony Palomba. Now today I'm going to go through the final group activity, which is a market research project. And so this is a demo that I'm going to walk us through. A few things to note about this assignment. We're going to go slowly through it because I recognize for some of you it might be your first time using PowerPoint. And so I kind of want you to feel secure about all parameters of the assignment. Additionally, it's going to feel a little bit wonky or weird at first in doing some of this work. I've given you templates as well to work with, and so this should be a fairly streamlined process. Again, though, if you have any questions, any comments or concerns, please contact me. That's what this is about. And so I need to be sure that you're learning. I need to be sure that you're engaged. I need to be sure that you understand everything. If you do not, if there is an issue, if there is something that comes up, please, please, please talk to me. That's critical here. And so in this particular lecture, I'm going to go step by step what my expectations are for the assignment itself. So let's get started. And so for the first slide here, I am looking for an introduction. It should be probably a slide, no more than 2 slides here. You can see here that I've written a little bit of a template here. In your introduction, you're giving us a reason why we're even doing this assignment in the first place. You're giving us reason, context. What did the client want? What did the company want? So no, you may not be working for Netflix or Facebook, but here you're explaining an angle, some sort of happening that's going on that you're curious to investigate. Is it that you're curious about nostalgic shows? Maybe that's the context in which this study was carried out. Or perhaps you're interested in indie video games and where other people might be playing these video games that aren't necessarily on a console, right? Thinking about games like Cuphead or Super Meat Boy or other particular games that might be played on other consoles aside from Nintendo's line of systems or Microsoft or Sony for that matter. Let's move along. And so here for the executive summary, what we're interested in learning here are the results themselves. So what you can do here, what we're looking for here, is literally copying and pasting the findings into the executive summary. It's good practice to be able to do this because in industry, an executive summary is absolutely boilerplate for any kind of market presentation. You want to be sure that the executive that you're working with, that you're supporting, has access to data and can quickly read through a PowerPoint without going through everything. And so an executive summary typically is 2 to 3 slides. It can be more, it can be less, everything varies. But for your purposes, you should be mindful that every result you have, the top line should be copied and pasted back into the executive summary. Let's move along. And so here for the market analysis, this is going to be 3 to 5 slides and 8 citations. What we're looking for here is giving me an analysis of what's going on in the marketplace. What's gone on in the last 10 years in the industry or in the inquiry that you have. What has happened in the last 10 years with dating apps? I had a group, I believe last year, who did a group market research project on dating apps. They looked at Tinder, they looked at Bumble, they looked at OkCupid, they looked at a few other things as well, and they explained, what's gone on in the last 10 years, what's gone on in the last 5 years with dating apps. Dating apps looked a lot different a decade ago. In fact, I don't believe we had dating apps. We really were relegated to websites. What you can also see here, and you should make note of this, there's not a lot of text on this slide. That's not the point of a market presentation. You want to be able to have a few lines and citations. It's crucial to get into this habit because this is the way in which market research is conducted and explained in industry. We don't write essays anymore. And so it's very good to get into that habit. I will be looking out for citations. Please make sure that you cite where appropriate. Let's move along. And so here for the brand analysis, this will also be 3 to 5 slides and 8 citations. What you're looking to do here, and I apologize that the title is obscuring the first bullet point, what you're looking to do here is you need to analyze branded communication. There's no better place to do this than YouTube commercials. What I recommend is for whomever is doing the brand analysis is that you can find 8 YouTube videos across the 3 companies you're looking at. You can look for 3 commercials from YouTube, 3 commercials from Hulu, 3 commercials from HBO. That might add up to 9, but therefore you're done, right? So that's what you're looking to do here. By watching these advertisements from the 3 companies, what is being communicated? What is this commercial saying? What is it trying to tell me as the consumer about its product? What does it want me to feel? How does it want me to think about its company? These are some of the questions that should be in your mind as you are watching these advertisements. Let's move along. Consumer analysis. Once again, 3 to 5 slides, 8 citations. What you're looking to do here is you're looking at the consumers. Who consumes your stuff? If you're looking at Spotify and your parent company is Pandora and maybe the other rival company is iTunes from Apple, what you can do here is you can look at each company and look at who their primary users are. Now, granted, you're going to find multiple audience segments per company. That's very, very common. And so you want to do the best that you can to find consumer demographic information for each branded company. Let's move along. Focus group results. So here with focus group results, you should be mindful about pulling your results together. You should have a conversation with your group. You should have some sort of Google Chat, Skype session, whatever it's going to take to share themes that you found and then to figure out quotes. Let's move along. So here, again, you're going to have the method. The method is one slide. I would not try to reinvent the wheel here. What is critical here is to ensure that you have covered all parameters here. You do not need to rewrite everything. I've given you a template here. Change the relevant information here. Change what needs to be changed, but I have laid out exactly what you should be talking about. So do not spend any more time on this than necessary. Let's move along. Participant biography. For each group member, you should have one slide that describes your group members. You can talk about their name, their major, what they like to listen to. I have provided way more information here than you need to. You should only be looking for 2 to 4 sentences per participant in your focus group. If you have 4 group members, this means each group member is responsible for a focus group participant biography slide. Let's move along. This is a really nice layout for a focus group. Typically, focus group reports usually do not write down the actual questions because focus group themes tend to come out whenever and wherever. For our purposes, I do want you to be in the habit of writing down the question and the base at the bottom. And you can see that in this slide. I have that down there. You'll see the 3 quotes here, and you'll see the top line result. Now, what I'm looking for here are 3 to 5 slides, which encompass 3 to 5 themes. So, you will have a conversation with your group. You will all determine 3 to 5 things you all found. So it could be that participants feel as though holidays are better shopping on Facebook, right? That's your result. That's your top line result that goes at the top of the PowerPoint deck. And so you may say to yourself, yeah, that came up in my focus group. It came up in Dave's and it came up in Jeff's. Fine. So if that's the case here, then you have a theme and you can go ahead and put together the focus group result. Here, as you can see, I have 3 quotes. That is what you should be shooting for per theme. And you can see here that with each quote I have here, it's a sentence or 2. It isn't meant to have a lot of information here. That's not the point of a presentation here. And so you can see that I punctuate my point by presenting 3 quotes. Let's move along. Survey results. So after your focus group results, I'm going to be looking for the survey results. The goal for your group should be to have a slide per result. As best as you can, a slide per result should be the way to go here. And so you should be presenting results per each question. Let's move along. Method, again, this has been laid out for you. This should not be a big deal for you. You should be able to replicate this pretty quickly. Use the text, use the template, change what's necessary. Otherwise, this has kind of been written for you. And now really all you need to do is kind of rewrite it and just change things that reflect what you did. Let's move along. Okay, so for here, you can see for the question result, for each question that you're dealing with here, you want to be able to say that you have the top line result up top, you have the results, and then at the bottom, you'll note you'll have the base, which is awareness of HBO brand here. Your base might be friends and family of researchers. Let me step back and make that a little bit clearer for all of you. Your base is who took the question, right? Who answered the question. And so for here, what you want to be concerned about is noting friends and family of research members. You can place this as your base across all of your slides. In industry, we tend to skip over people, and there's skip logic assigned. So not everybody takes all of the questions. But for the purposes of this assignment, we're just going to say friends and family of researchers, because after all, you are doing a convenience sample. You'll note the N at the bottom. That is number of subjects, and that is 250 here. You'll note below it, question 7. How likely are you to purchase women's coats? That's the question here. Your results will be in the middle. I recommend bar charts because they are very, very easy to put together. You can place your results there, no problem. The top line, the top or the title section, participants had a relatively high likelihood, etc., etc. That is your results portion. That's you telling me, what do I need to know about this chart? What are you trying to tell me here? What should I note? Let's move along. This is another example of a chart here. This is something that you can use as kind of a template. For the remainder of this brief demonstration, I'm going to go through several examples of what this may look like. Let's move along. And so you can see here that this is another kind of chart that I recommend. It depends what you want to show us and what you don't want to show us, right? Certain data visualizations might afford us the opportunity to really highlight one or the other, right? So we may be highlighting strongly disagree. We may be highlighting strongly agree. Maybe what we want to communicate to our audience is, well, it's important for the executives to know about strongly disagree and strongly agree. Because frankly, disagree, neutral, and agree, they don't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, perhaps for an executive. Let's move along. Demonstrate effectiveness is most important consideration when selecting a provider. So again here, you can see what I've done on the right-hand portion of the survey result is that I've noted certain things for my audience members to be mindful of. And so feel free to use this. This is a really, really nice way to gain consumer or to gain audience interest and focus as you're discussing what's going on in your slide. Let's move along. This slide is one of my favorite slides, the one here with all the logos. It's really, really helpful. And again, I apologize for the shift here. It looks aligned on PowerPoint, but it's useful to use logos where appropriate. It's a really nice way for audience members to really be able to pick out things. If everything here was written in red, Hulu, ABC, HBO, Netflix, it's really difficult to kind of figure out the brands, right? But if we use icons and logos, we can quickly find TNT, Disney, ABC, TBS. And that's one of the hallmarks and beauty beautiful traits of this particular slide. And so this slide is for unaided awareness. And so this is kind of illustrating top brands that are kind of top of mind for audience members when they're asked about entertainment. And so this is another kind of template that might inspire you when you're presenting your own results. Let's move along. Afterwards, you'll be doing recommendations. So after everything else is complete, you want to think about recommendations. What would you recommend for your audience? What would you recommend for the consumers that you're going to be serving on behalf of your client? And so what you want to think about here is, based on all the results, based on everything that you've gone through, what recommendations do you have? What direction should the brand be going in as best as you can assert? I recommend at least 6 recommendations. I would say 6 to 8. So if you want to break it down into 1 to 2 slides, but you really should be shooting for at least 6 recommendations, which once you've done the focus groups, once you've done the surveys, once you've done everything else, you're really going to come together and get a great sense of what should be going on with the brand itself. Let's move along. And then your conclusion. Your conclusion is nice because it leaves a few nuggets for your audience, right? Typically, people remember the beginning and end of things, and recommendations, your audience will remember the conclusion as well. So conclusion really helps hone in several trends, themes, things to look for in the future that is associated with the particular slide itself. Let's move along. And so the final thing you want to be mindful of is that your references should be going in the back. You want to have 3 to 6 slides. You want to be sure that everything is in APA order and style, and that you're just able to kind of put together bullet points here. And so I recognize that this market research project is exceptionally robust and laborious. We will be working in groups, as you know, and it's a really good opportunity just to get a better sense of what's going on with market research. It's a major tenet of even media research. Media researchers are market researchers, and so even though you may not be majoring in business, this is very typical of the kind of work that you'll be doing if you're involved in research, public relations, or advertising, is putting together pretty strong and robust PowerPoint decks. Well, that's all the time we have on Late Night Learning. As always, keep laughing and keep learning.